What's going on, everyone? So it was great that the Los Angeles Lakers basically handled business all season and were able to rest that Portland game, right? They didn't have to go down to the last game as we saw in the previous years just to make the play-in, right? I mean, you look at couple last season even, right, with the New Orleans Pelicans. We had to beat Pelicans twice, and Lakers ended up doing it. But this year, Lakers all season handled their business, did what they needed to do, needed those 2 wins, ended up getting those 2 wins, and then were able to make the decision on the Portland game. And I talked about the pros and cons of resting the Portland game rather than, like you saw Houston kind of play their guys, which at the end of the day, again, health is the biggest factor. Health is the most important thing. And I do think that the Lakers made the right decision in the Portland game, resting guys, basically not playing anybody. That way, LeBron James, he was dealing with the groin injury, right? And now he has like the hip flexor, right? Luka had some like little knick-knack stuff. Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, right? You had several guys that were dealing with little like kind of knick-knack injuries. So it was in the Lakers' best interest to kind of sit everybody, rest everybody, and then kind of gear up and prepare for the Minnesota, what ultimately became the Minnesota matchup. Because remember, at the time, we didn't know who we were going to play. But I also talked about the cons of that, which is the Los Angeles Lakers were shooting very well, right? Dorian Finney-Smith was shooting the lights out, right? Gabe Vincent was shooting incredibly well, right? You had even Jordan Goodwin was knocking down some shots, right? Rui Hachimura was starting to get into his rhythm. LeBron was starting to get into rhythm, right? Because remember when he came back from his injury after missing about 2 weeks, he ended up kind of, having some shooting struggles and then was able to kind of get back into a rhythm. So you had all these guys that you needed to hit shots and that you need to hit shots consistently, all just go from like being in rhythm, knocking down at an efficient clip to now we're going to rest for, 8 days or whatever it was, counting, the games in between. And then now we're going to go and jump into a playoff game. And you saw, right? Lakers didn't shoot the ball well outside of Luka, really, right? And something that I talked about, is, look, I know it sounds simple, right? But Lakers have to hit shots, right? Like it's what it boils down to. Right? Lakers aren't this team, like, yes, they have multiple ways to attack with Luka, Reeves, and LeBron, right? But outside of that, they don't have that interior presence that they can just dump the ball down to. He can kind of just go to work around the rim, right? They don't have, multiple guys that can do multiple things to kind of attack key points and stuff, right? You basically, all of your offense is being generated by Luka, LeBron, and Reeves. And you had Reeves and LeBron have their struggles offensively. Dorian Finney-Smith couldn't find the bottom of the net. Gabe Vincent couldn't find the bottom of the net, right? You had guys that couldn't find the bottom of the net. But in the first quarter, right, when the Lakers were winning, you looked at that, what happened? Luka was cooking, gave you 20, right? Gabe Vincent hit a 3, Rui hit, I think, 2 in that first quarter, right? Like, guys were hitting shots. All of a sudden, you look up and the Lakers are up by 7 going into the second, right? So you start hitting shots, start building that confidence, and then the well dried up, right? And all of a sudden, Lakers gave up a 26-6 run. Not winning very many games that way, right? So again, guys have to score. We're not so good defensively. We can, go 5 minutes or 7 minutes and only score 6 points, right? You have to be able to score the basketball and shoot and knock down shots. So my concern was that, it might take these guys a game or two to kind of really get in a rhythm. Hopefully it's something that happens sooner rather than later. Hopefully it's not, we come out in game 2 because now you have another, 3 days between 1 and game 2 to where now guys are still out of rhythm, out of sorts, right? You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to knock down some shots. Lakers can't afford to be missing shots regularly. You look at Minnesota. Minnesota shut the lights out, right? That's not the only reason they won. Lakers, lack of effort. The defense was an issue, right? There was a lot. But a big part of it was Minnesota just hit shots, right? You had Naz Reid go, 6 of 9 from 3-point range. I mean, they went 21 of 42 total from 3-point range, right? You could let them have a shooting competition and Minnesota might not go 21 of 42 again, even if there's no contest. But the Lakers gave up nothing but contested uncontested threes, right? Like there was no resistance in them shooting the basketball because Lakers were overcompensating for the interior and the lack of that interior size that they basically trusted, hey, Jaden McDaniels isn't going to knock down, 5 threes. Well, he went 3 of 3, right? Again, Naz Reid isn't going to hit 6 threes. Well, he did. Julius Randle was 4 or 6 from 3, right? Like they basically said, we're going to trust that these guys aren't going to beat us from the 3-point line. And they did, right? But the problem was the Lakers weren't able to match the firepower because outside of Luka, no one really delivered on the offensive side of things. So you basically conceded the 3-point shot. They shot the lights out, and no one on your team other than Luka could hit a 3 to save their lives, right? Like that's a big difference, right? So Lakers have to find a way to get back into some rhythm, right? Whatever it is. I do think once they get back into a rhythm, they'll be fine. And then you'll start seeing, this series kind of shift. And again, like I think the Lakers could run the exact same defensive scheme, and I don't think Minnesota shoots that well again. I mean, they shot incredibly well. Again, they shot 50% from 3-point range. Right? Like, yes, they weren't contested threes. They were wide open threes, which guys can hit wide open threes. Like, I don't want them taking, 42 wide open threes. Right? It was like 27 wide open. And then I think it was like 17, something like that. 17, slightly contested threes or whatever. Right? Like, it's not good if you're the Lakers. Right? Like, you can't. You got to at least pretend, right? At least give man, he got me. Like at least, fake it till you make it. Don't just like leave guys wide open. But I get it. Like Lakers were trying to, rebound and team rebound. And I get you have to concede something, right? But at least have a guy run out to the 3-point shooter. Right, at least show some level of resistance because Minnesota did a good job of being able to get back because they have the athleticism, they have the size, they have the versatility out there, right? So they were able to recover and at least challenge and contest guys. But again, guys got to hit shots. Rui Hachimura has to hit those. Dorian Finney-Smith had literal wide open threes. Didn't knock them down. Minnesota did. Right? And that's a big difference. Guys have to hit shots. And when the Lakers aren't hitting shots, it's a problem, which is why I was concerned about the rest because Dorian Finney-Smith was in a nice rhythm. I mean, he was like every other game going 50% from 3-point range. I think he was shooting 44% over like a 12-game span or something like that. Like the guy was shooting the ball very well, right? Gabe Vincent had a little bit of a roller coaster, but for the most part was shooting pretty darn good, right? Austin Reeves was hitting threes. LeBron was hitting threes, right? So you had your main guys. Everyone's firing. Everyone's knocking down shots. Everyone's hitting, on all cylinders. And you saw the Lakers just, blow out the Thunder on their home court and do all these things. And it's like, well, now you sit those guys for a week. They don't get the rhythm. It's not, NBA action is not the same thing as shoot around or practice, right? You can't emulate, the pressure and the fans and the contests and all the things that are there, right? There's a lot of factors and elements that go into an actual NBA game that you just can't account for during any type of practice or scrimmage or anything like that. So, them coming in, I'm hoping that they got their bad blunder game out of the way, right? Like Jared Vanderbilt called it, hey, this was a good wake-up call for the Lakers. I'm hoping that that's what that was. I didn't expect the Lakers to go 16-0 in the playoffs, right? Like, I expected the Lakers to lose a couple games. Even this series I thought would probably go 6, right? Lakers in 6. I thought if the Lakers won both home games, then I thought that they would win it in 5. But I figured, hey, there's potential for a split. You get back, you get the split. And then it's a different series, right? Like that was kind of my thoughts. That was kind of my logic on that and this particular matchup, right? Like the Lakers handle business and you're in good shape, right? Hit some shots, you're in good shape. You're going to have a bad game. That's fine. Bad games happen. But for the most part, handle business 4 times and you win, right? It's that simple. And that's kind of what it's going to be throughout the entirety of the playoffs. If the Lakers give you 4 Laker level games that we've seen them be able to play, we've seen them be able to perform to that level, Lakers are going to win. right? If they don't, and we get the game that we saw in game one, where guys can't hit shots and we're not hustling, we're getting outworked and we're getting out hustled and we're getting outplayed. Again, Lakers are not good enough to have these blunder games, right? Like Boston last year lost, if I'm not mistaken, they lost the first game of the playoffs for them, right? And then they just didn't lose again, right? And then same thing in the next round and so on and so forth. But Boston was good enough. Right, Boston's just better than everybody, so they could afford to lose a game that way. They could afford to lose a game in that matter. It wasn't a big deal for them. They knew, like, we're just gonna win 4 straight, and then they did, and then that was it, and then the series were over. Right, they never were really tested or pushed. So it's kind of my thoughts on that end, because the Lakers, again, they just we're a team, because we don't have the interior size, that are gonna live and die by the three. It's just how it is, unfortunately, because that's our best option. That's our best bet as this team, right? Live and die by the three. Guys have to hit shots. You can't live or die by the three if guys aren't hitting shots. But we'll see how game 2 goes. It's a must win, in my opinion. But as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle. However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.